We are live. All right. Welcome to a 3D movie podcast, where it's really 3D movie interviews, and this is the first inaugural episode of this. And since he had me on his channel when he started doing his live streams, I was the first guest. I figure I might as well be the one to invite him on mine. And you know what? I reached out to him. Okay, this all right. So this is before I introduced him. This guy and me, we go a little bit back. Last year we became friends. Okay, because he reached out to me and was like just commenting on my videos left and right, and I was like. I was like, he was like, oh, thank you, man. Thank you so much. And he was like, I love your videos. This is great. He said, keep it up. And, I was thinking, oh, this is really great. At first I thought, he's just full of shit. He's just saying that. And then, of course, afterwards, I was like, he was just so great to me. And they reached out finally over Messenger and on Facebook and was like, and please don't. By the way, if you're listening to this, do not reach out to me on Messenger because I'm not going to respond back. I'm just saying before I started doing YouTube, he reached out like afterwards. He reached out to me, and I thought that was the most gracious thing. I was like, oh, you know what? It's really gracious. And I was like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I was like, and then he's like, you want to collab on something? And I'm like, you know what? I would love to. And he's like, have you ever seen how? I was like, but I'm telling you now, I'm a whore for bad movie roast. And he goes, I know it. I got the perfect movie, Howard the Duck. And I'm like, I've never seen that movie. He goes, oh, well, you're in for a treat. And so then I'm like, all right. And so I watched it and I'm like, oh, this is awful. And he goes, I know, right? And I'm like, and we kind of hit it off then. And so then, of course, we started collabing on other movies. And I reached in anytime, like if I need someone really, like there's a few people that if I reach out to on YouTube that will absolutely have my back and will cover me for a review. And he's one of those people that if I say, hey, I need a review on this movie, and he goes, can you give me till like Friday? And I'm like, absolutely. And I really appreciate that. I'm glad to call my friend. Please, with on his channel, please, with introduction, Mr. Jacob Martin.
All right. Thank you for that awesome introduction there, Jake. Greatly appreciate it. I do enjoy the content that you have over on your channel. You've had some really fun videos in the last year or so, and it's good getting to know you in the past year for our various collabs and all the other live stream stuff we've been doing over on my channel. I just had you on my channel finishing the Scream franchise. I greatly enjoy talking with you on the Scream movies. As before 2022, I had never actually seen any of the Scream movies before, and so I gotta thank you for getting me onto the Scream franchise. It might be the most consistent horror franchise of all time. Most horror franchises have that great first movie and they go sharply downhill after that, but
Oh yeah, for
the
sure.
Scream movies, the first one's still the best, but all of the Scream movies have been entertaining in some degree, and that's quite a rarity for a lot of horror franchise. And so, thank you for getting me on board the Scream franchise and making me a fan of these movies. In fact, the first is now one of my absolute favorites in the genre, so I gotta thank you for that.
And I remember, like, because I think I was the one that was suggested Scream to you because you were like, oh, I don't know, and you're like, I was the one because we did Fright Night in October, and I'm like,
Yeah,
is that you were thinking about Scream, but you were it was kind of like an afterthought, and I was like, well, you should really do Scream. I'm telling you, man, let me know when you do Scream, and then that's what kind of led us down the Scream path.
yeah, and it's been a lot of fun. I think we started off with I did like the traditional. Actually, I think the first two movies I did in my like vlogging the movie style videos where I filmed my initial reactions on the movie, and then you shared your thoughts, and then you were like, "Hey, do you want to go live on some of these later ones?" Because I know you had a lot to say on the third one, which you said you were not a fan of. And I'm like, "Okay, we can go live." And this was around the time I think it was first invited to one of Rashad's live stream videos. He invited me for a live stream chat on I think what did we do? It was either Masters of the Universe or it was something else. It was one of those 80s movies. And I enjoyed the vibe of that conversation so much. I'm like, man, I enjoy these live stream collabs. And so when you suggested the live stream, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do Rashad's method and try to do live stream collabs as much as possible. And so I gotta thank you for kind of hopping the ball rolling because I've been doing a lot more live stream collabs on my channel with other YouTubers along the way, and so you were kind of the one to help get the ball rolling on that. And I actually prefer that format when it comes to, especially with collabs. It gives us a chance to interact with one another and talk about the movie, share our pros and our cons, and just have a fun conversation from one fellow movie fan to another. So it's great.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's literally what it is. I mean, you really, you try to, when you meet people on here, sometimes like when you reached out to me like on Messenger at first, I really legit thought I was like, oh, that's nice. And at first, I'm not gonna lie, at first I was like, why is this guy messaging me on Messenger? That's kind of weird. But then as I got to know you and stuff, I'm like, I'm glad he did now. Which again, I am not encouraging anyone on here to message me on Messenger. Again, I'm just saying his was an anomaly. Do not message me on Messenger. Please do not, okay? Because I will not respond. I've had people message me before after that. I found it. Hey, aren't you the guy from YouTube? And I'm like, I'm not answering. I'm not getting back to that guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, please don't, okay? YouTube, you can message me in the comment section, and I will probably respond, but not on my Messenger. That is my private. Unless I reach out to you, which will be that is less likely, but still.
Yeah, I feel like normally when I get to know people as far as like YouTubers go, like normally I ask, where I can better message them in, usually either Twitter or Facebook. And that's when I do like the messages on, oh, you want to do a collab on this? And I haven't had any like real issues with that when I started doing collabs on my channel. So that's why I did the whole Facebook thing, because I saw Facebook and stuff like that.
And originally, I just like did everything on I legit did everything on Instagram because I didn't like use Facebook at all. And then it was Mike that reached out to me. Mike reached out to me and was like, "I think you would really benefit from this YouTube group." And I'm like, I thought it was a scam. I legit thought it was a scam at first. I'm like, this dude's trying to scam it. She's gonna say the next comment's gonna be, "If you give me some money, I can help your channel." And I'm like.
No, I don't want any part of that.
But then as he was telling me, no, just join this Facebook group. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I was like, that sounds kind of sketchy. But then as I joined it, I'm like, you know what? I can delete my account at this guy because he isn't. I said, none of my personal information's on there. Like, I don't even use the same password I use for everything else. I use it completely different because I don't want to get hacked. And so basically, I'm like, let him try to scam me. He's going to be very disappointed. And then, of course, it was. And he was a great guy. I felt bad because out of everyone I've collaborated, he's the one I've never collabed with at all.
Oh, wow.
And I felt bad because that's like, I asked him, reached out to him when I was doing the chainsaw reviews, and he said, he had a bunch of stuff stacked on him where he's like, I can't right now. I can't.
Yeah, and his channel's grown even since when I first met him. Like, I first met him in early, 2021. He reached out to me, who was like, because he saw me collab with Perez, and he collabed with Perez on his channel, and I'm like, he's like, hey, Perez, you want to do a collab? I'm like, sure, I'll do that. I'm not familiar with your channel, but I'm down with doing any collabs, because at the time, the only collabs I had on my channel were with Anthony A. Perez. I was starting to really branch out and meet other people and do collabs, and so when Mike started, I think he was like at 200 subscribers when I first met him, and his channel's grown like exponentially since I first met him and saw his videos. He's like over 1K now, which is insane, but it's well warranted because his videos are so consistent. I love his reviews. I love like his Michael J. Fox series that he's doing. He's done some like adventure.
Yeah, he reached out to me to do one of the Back to the Future videos, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure. He's like, I get like 10 seconds. Yeah, I go on and rant about Pepsi, by the way. And I was like, that I love Pepsi because Back to the Future too. And it's like, I know, even like I was telling Dave about that, and Dave's like, I was like, you're not that bad about it, but like, there is a segment where you're like, why is he shut up about talking about Pepsi? It's not even a significant plot point in the movie. It's not like he has to chase after a Pepsi machine or something. It's literally like that's all he does. He goes up there and says, "Can I have a Pepsi?" That's literally all it is, and he literally won't shut up about that. And just like,
I guess it's a good point though. It's like Back to the Future made me love Pepsi because Michael J. Fox drank it in the movie. I can see that.
You know what? I guarantee you, someone that watched that video would probably. I've not looked at the comments, but I guarantee you, like, why is one dude talking about fucking Pepsi the whole entire time? Like, there's much more that analyzed than the fucking drink he drinks. I mean, literally, he listens to Huey Lewis in the news. Is he going to talk about how much he loves Huey Lewis? There's only one.
I would have done that.
There's only one movie I know of that Huey Lewis literally has to say that Back to the Future and American Psycho are the only two movies I know of that really put Huey Lewis back on the map. Like, he went Back to the Future, put him on the map again, and then he had a couple of songs that released that put him on the map, but then he went away in the 90s, that American Psycho put him right back up on the map again.
Yep. That was a great scene, by the way.
You like Huey Lewis in the news?
Yeah, hip to be square.
Yeah. Did you see there's a YouTube video that I watched the other day where a guy goes up to a woman and says, "You like Huey Lewis on this?" And this girl's just so annoyed and he just keeps talking to her about Huey Lewis, about the whole scene of American Psycho. He's just quoting the whole entire thing. And I was waiting for him to be like, I'm waiting to see where this goes. Is he going to pull out the axe and then start yelling? Because I guarantee it's not going to end well for him.
Oh, wow.
I was waiting for the whole time. And then he ends after he did the whole dialogue. And this,
I'm like, just like, what was that?
I was like,
yeah, you need to watch American Psycho.
Yeah, in the Phil Collins comment section, he disabled his comments because all it was American Psycho comments.
Oh, wow.
Phil Collins, like, people were just quoting it. People just quoting it. Like, one of the like, there is literally like lines that were just like, "Don't just stare at it, eat it," and then just like,
oh, yeah.
People were putting that in there. People were like, he goes, and then he says like, Phil Collins has been compared to Elvis Costello, and he goes, I think I'm just like. And just like all these lines are from American Psycho.
Yeah, I bet if you were Phil Collins or Huey Lewis, you'd be annoyed by the constant references that fans make at you.
Well, Phil Collins, Huey Lewis actually got in on the joke. Like, he did a Weird Al Yankovic parody. Him and Weird Al Yankovic did. You like American Psycho? And he sticks the disc in, and all of a sudden, the Weird Al's on the couch like, it's all right. And then he describes this. Christian Bale was so great in this, and he's getting the axe and everything. He goes, he was so great. And he goes, this charismatic tension really brought to where Christopher Nolan casted him as Batman because he wanted that portrayal in a Batman. And then he's like, hey, Al, try and parodying one of my songs now, you stupid bastard. And he plays and it's like an anniversary. It's on YouTube. It's like the Huey Lewis anniversary album. Like, they did a promo, like, mocking American Psycho, which... I mean, that's so great. That's the movie is. I literally have a shirt. I got a shirt for Christmas. It's on my Instagram, but I got it a couple of years back, like in 2020, I believe. I got a shirt for Christmas, American Psycho shirt, in which people were like, "What the hell's that movie?" No one understood. I'm like, it is an art house horror film, but it is one of the greatest ones because it's not about the horror. It's about society itself is horrifying, and that we just like people really think that movie really is like. Just like, oh, it's just a movie about a guy who murders hookers. I'm like, no, it's not. It's more. It's actually art. Like, it literally is it doesn't even start off with something like, it starts off with, like, food, and it's showing you how the world the rich live in and the poor are like society. And so horror is like, the horror is society itself. Like, the 80s is the villain of the movie. And because they're like at the end of the movie when he killed, have you ever seen that movie, by the way?
Yeah, I saw the movie.
Okay. I was just saying, like, when he gets away with it at the end, it's because society doesn't care enough. Like, okay, I murdered all these prostitutes, and like this woman had all this stuff cleaned out and everything, which some people thought it was all in his head, but like the director said, no, it wasn't all in his head. He actually did all the stuff, except when the feed me to the cat and stuff like that. That was all in his head, obviously, because the dude does cocaine a lot and everything, and so yeah, of course he's gonna have some hallucinations about what is reality and what isn't. But like, even if he would have done that stuff, no one cares enough, and like that's what he's like. He fakes all these identities, and no one even cares enough. He's like, I had Paul Allen. I killed Paul. I said, that's impossible. I had all this stuff. I had dinner with him last week, and he's like, he probably thinks someone else is Paul Allen. And so he had dinner with that person, believing that's Paul Allen. And just like, I killed these prostitutes, and I got away with it. And it's just like, I could basically do whatever I want because this means nothing to this world, And I think it just shows you.
Yeah, I remember I saw that movie and I was pretty much floored by the end of the movie. Like I didn't even know what actually happened. Like, was it all in his head? Did he actually do all those things? I know there was more to the movie than just your typical slasher movie, and that's what I respected about that movie.
And it has the greatest catchphrases ever. Like, like he goes, "You like Huey Lewis in the news?"
Yeah.
You know, it's got a lot of quotable lines. I guarantee you, Christian Bale now, he'll bet you anything. I mean, if someone asked him, he's like, people quote American Psycho to me all the time. Walk down the street and goes, "You like Huey Lewis in the news?" Like, it's like, yep. He goes, "Uh-huh." I bet you anything. I guarantee if somebody asked him, like, "You like Huey Lewis in this?" He's like, "American Psycho." Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great that you can. If it wasn't for memes, that movie would not be relevant to that. Like memes, literally, like all these memes and stuff, pop culture references. Like that's what's so great is now movies that are probably would have been forgotten 10 years from now. That like memes and like pop culture stuff. People find these movies and they share their love for it on YouTube, especially YouTube. YouTube really, because people watch these, and then they start quoting stuff, and other YouTubers quote lines from it, and it brings out like now this movie's a pop culture favorite.
Yeah. I agree with all that.
So.
All right.
We're the main. I know we went on. We literally are meant to talk with one guy, and we're like 20 minutes of talking about
American Psycho. Yep.
That's just the weird thing about us. We'll just literally talk about anything,
Yeah.
So let's talk about Star Wars now.
No,
but anyway,
get to the main topic.
Yeah, we should get into that. So, I've always wanted to know. Okay, so as someone who's always been curious, what made you want to become a YouTuber?
That is an interesting question. There's a lot of factors in what inspired me to get on YouTube. I've always been a fan of movies for as long as I can remember. And I think my middle high school years was when I started to like really appreciate movies as an art form, and I wanted to talk about my love for some of these movies in some way, but I didn't really know how. So originally, I got started. I used to hang out on Rotten Tomatoes all the time. Like they have like that audience section where you can sign up and share your thoughts on all these movies. I did that for a couple of years. It was a pretty good, enjoyable little start for starting out. When you don't know what you're doing, pretty much. And that was an interesting little time. Some of the opinions that I had over there are completely different from. Where it is now, because I think when like Thor: The Dark World came out, for instance, I gave it like a 9 out of 10. Like it was one of my favorite Marvel movies, and now it's like my second to least favorite Marvel movies.
Right.
Definitely things have changed since I started. But then I think when Rotten Tomatoes did like some site changes on there like in 2014 that was not as user friendly as what they used to be, and I'm like, you can't really interact with other people on there like you used to. I don't know why they cut that off. It was very weird. And so
Probably because of troll.
it could have been, this was before like people review bombed like movies like they do all the time, like with Captain Marvel and the Star Wars sequels. But,
I never used Rotten
Tomatoes. 2014, so this is before all that. So I don't know why they changed it. And so one of my friends in the Rotten Tomatoes space was plugging in this other site called Letterboxd, and Letterboxd was like pretty much what Rotten Tomatoes was, but it was like completely user friendly. I love the space that site has. It has like a wide array of movies you can log and share your thoughts on, and you can make lists, and you can hang out with other people. Now, I haven't been on Letterboxd as much as I used to. Like, I had a lot of friends originally on Letterboxd, but now that I've started YouTube, I've shifted focus on the YouTube stuff, although I'll still log movies on Letterboxd and share my thoughts and all that, and plug my YouTube video links on my Letterboxd. Like whenever I share my thoughts on Letterboxd, I'll share usually the YouTube videos along with that as well. But Letterboxd is still pretty cool. I do really respect that site, and where how you can log all the movies you've seen and share your thoughts on them in some way. But I'm like, this is really neat. But I think there's a more creative endeavor to share your opinions on movies, and I was looking at a lot of YouTube videos around this time. I was getting out of college, and Actually, I was in community college at first, and I watched a lot of YouTube in my downtime, and that's when I was getting into people like Chris Stuckman. And I watched a little
He's
bit of
so
Jeremy
great.
Johns. I love Chris Stuckman, and I'm so excited to see
He inspired me.
his new movie Shelby Oaks. I'm really hyped to see that. But I watched his videos. I watched a lot of Screen Junkies. They're not near as good as they were back in the day, but I watched a lot of Screen Junkies and their content, and Channel Awesome, the Nostalgia Critic. I watched a lot of his videos, and John Flickinger, the Flick Pick, and then
I love Flick Pick. Yeah.
yeah, I do too. And then eventually there were other YouTubers that popped up. Sean Chandler is another one. I really liked the relatability that he brought in his videos. He just seemed like a normal guy who just loved talking about movies. And his success story is pretty inspiring as well because he overcame like alcoholism at first, and he's now like a successful YouTuber with
And he's a pastor.
he's a pastor. Oh, I think he was a pastor, but then he gave. I think he's just a temporary youth pastor now. I think, if I'm not mistaken, but he was full time. But then I think the alcoholism got in the way, and he was forced to resign. I think because of some of the demons he was facing
Yeah.
in some of his videos, and so but he's a full sober, healthy guy now with a family and a successful YouTube career, which is a pretty inspiring success story. I love seeing his story. He keeps popping up every year where he says, I think he's now 6 years sober, which is actually really awesome to see. So, enough of that side story. So Sean Chandler was one of my influences as well. So I think my three biggest influences, I would say, that made me start the YouTube space were, I would say, Chris Stuckman, Channel Awesome, particularly the Nostalgia Critic, and Sean Chandler were probably my top three. And especially after Sean Chandler did his, when I started seeing his videos pop up, I'd say about 2017, 2018 was when I noticed his content. I'm like, okay, this YouTube thing's really starting to interest me more. And so I started looking up, where to start in becoming a YouTuber, and I think I eventually won. I think Black Friday of 2018 was where I used some of the money that was given to me from family and stuff. I went and got me a nice camera, tripod, bought a laptop which supports the camera that I'm using. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this a reality. So I filmed my first video, I would say November 2018, in my basement because I didn't know where to film at the time. I did I think it was a haul video, which was the first video I ever shot. And, I haven't gone back to rewatch my first video, but I'm pretty sure it's dog crap now. But with a lot of editing mistakes, and I struggling to communicate my words on camera and stuff. Not near as confident as I am now, but I started just doing random videos in the basement, talking about whatever movies I wanted to talk about. Eventually, I moved up to the living room, and then when my bedroom got rearranged, I now had space to where I can shoot my videos in there, and I've been shooting videos in there since 2019, I would like to say. And the channel has really grown since then. I know when my old camera started to show its age, I'd like to say 2021, early 2021, I went and bought a new camera, but I didn't realize I had bought a 4K camera, because I think my first camera wasn't 4K, it was a traditional HD camera. And so I realized the picture was a lot sharper on these new videos, and I think that really helped I think the quality of my videos, along with some of the ring lights that I've gotten since, because I didn't use ring lights originally. So if you watch my old videos and you see, it was just all the lighting that was in my room, and so if it looked dark, it was because either I didn't have a ring light, or sometimes I would shoot the video in night where it was pretty much dark even with my light on, and the picture was so dim, and some of those videos are kind of interesting to see, rewatching, seeing where I've progressed since then. So there's been a lot of great growth in my channels when I started in late 2018. It's crazy. I think by late November, early December, it'll be my 4th year on YouTube.
That that is crazy, right?
Yeah, it is, and the time flies. I mean, especially what I'm currently doing, where I think I put out a lot more content now than when I started. Because when I started, I just wanted to just cover random movies that I would watch, and now it's just like, every time I watch something, I want to make a video on it in some way. Whether it's your traditional video, whether I'm watching something for somebody's collab, or whether I'm doing a live stream discussion. I love talking about whatever movie I watch, whether it's something I watch for fun.
Like Black Christmas.
Like Black Christmas?
No, what was it? No, Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Oh, Silent Night, Deadly Night.
I was thinking like Black Christmas.
Yeah, you had me do that on your channel. No,
I still laugh when you said Silent Night, Deadly Night. By the way, don't delete the second video of the Silent Night. I need to still have it. I deleted it.
I still have that video link, by the way.
Don't delete it. I don't.
Yeah, I'll give that to you
around
next
Christmas time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I laughed so hard when you were like, I get it. Like at first, okay, I was so supportive of him just like killing the guy rapist, but then he kills her, which I just felt was unnecessary.
Yeah, I did say that.
I felt like it was just unnecessary. I started laughing because he just the way you were saying it's just like that was just really unnecessary. Okay, like.
I was like, yeah, it really shocked me because the kill before that I thought it was very justifiable. He witnessed somebody rape a girl he liked, and so he kills that guy and protest, and then he just kills her because she was scared of him. I'm like, that's just mean. That was like the only death he just killed off random people for no reason. Like he killed like 2 people sledding, and I guess he's annoyed by their noises, so he goes up to them and goes, "Punish! Punish!"
It's crazy. That shit is crazy.
Yeah. But yeah,
right.
going back to your question, I just like talking about movies, like just regardless of what I watch, like whether it's for a collab or just some fun discussion on other people's channels. It's just fun trying to branch out, experiment with stuff I'm not as familiar with, or sharing some of my personal favorites. It's been a really awesome journey to see where the channel's gone since when I first started.
Right. And it says, what movie inspires you?
What movie inspires me? Wow. There's actually quite a few of those. Like, you probably know this already, but my favorite franchise is Star Wars. So anything in the world of Star Wars inspires me because I just love that world. I've been a fan of it since I was a kid. And the first one, A New Hope, Episode 4, is like my favorite movie of all time. And so anything new that pops up in Star Wars... actually, Empire is number 2. They're like neck and neck. But A New Hope's my favorite because I love the success story of how that got made. And the fact that, it's a great standalone movie where, like, even if there was no other Star Wars movie, A New Hope has a beginning, middle, and end. Like, I know people have Empire as their favorite, but to me, Empire, it's a great movie. It's not a standalone movie. Like, it's just the middle chapter of a trilogy.
It's not a cliffhanger.
I can't, it's weird watching it on its own. Like, if I rewatch Empire, I have to watch it with the original 3, and when I do, like, a binge of the complete saga and stuff. Like, A New Hope I can just watch on its own and just appreciate, like, what George Lucas was willing to go through to make such an incredible movie.
Okay. All right. So
I have a couple other like favorite movies that I would say inspire me too.
What are they?
Pretty much the Lion King, the
original or
the original, not the garbage live action.
I was about to say, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, that one that's always been like my favorite animated movie ever since I first saw it as a kid. Like even when I was on my vacation this past week, we brought the Lion King with me, and I rewatched it. I still love that movie. Like the visuals, the emotional storytelling, the songs, everything in that movie is just absolutely fantastic. It's like peak animation as far as I'm concerned. Like whether Disney, 2D animated, CG animated, it's just a fantastic
Such a
movie.
good movie.
Such a good movie. I love it. And there's some other. Let's see, what are some other ones? E.T. I would say is another one. That's one where I didn't get into as a kid, but when I rewatched it years later, I just appreciated like not just the simplicity of it, but like it's the emotional charm that it does have, especially in regards to the bond with the boy and ET. When that's just like one of my ultimate like comfort like tearjerker movies. It's one that's really grown on me the more I've revisited it. And I know, Jacob, you said in other videos you're not into like black and white movies, but I gotta highlight this one. It's a Wonderful Life is one that's really grown on me as well. The Christmas movie that's like a
I've
holiday
seen that
sequel.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Okay, and I think it's a really good story, even if you're not.
Guy tries to commit suicide. A guy tries to commit suicide, and an angel realizes what would happen if he wasn't there.
And as dark as that is, the payoff is so rewarding. I think as someone who went through a downward spiral in my life, I appreciate the message of the movie more, like the comeback redemption story of this character who thought he was a loser, but he was actually like the person the person everyone needed to go to for help and business and other stuff like that. Like he truly mattered even when he felt that he didn't matter, and I resonate with that completely, especially after some of the negative stuff that's happened in my life. So
yeah, I mean, so what is the best experience you've had on YouTube?
Best experience. It's interesting. It started out, it was just, I didn't really have that much interaction with a lot of people. I was just, making my own videos, doing my own thing. When I started interacting with other YouTubers is when I became more confident in not just my own work, but, how I can function, I guess, with other people. Because I always had these self-confidence issues. I've been in the autism spectrum. It's interesting. We're doing this interview today, June 18th. Come to find out, I didn't realize this is a thing. Is Autism Pride Day, so I decided to kind of highlight that and to tell people in the autism community.
Here's your platform.
You're not alone. You're not alone. Like I'm on the autism spectrum. I have something called Asperger's. I think it's a lighter form of it, but it's still on the spectrum. But wait, where was I going with this? But I shared like that day was a thing, and to try to tell people that are on the autism spectrum, hey, you're not alone. Like there were times in my life where, because I had was on the autism spectrum, I thought that would hold me back, and so that I was scared of a lot of things because of that. Like I didn't know how to function with others, not just in YouTube, but I guess personally, I didn't like. I just felt uncomfortable interacting with a lot of people, and so I didn't really have that many friends in high school and college or anything like that. But when I started my YouTube channel, I'm like, oh, this is just gonna be like just me sharing my thoughts. That's just about it. But then a guy named Anthony A. Perez started commenting on some of my early videos, and this was around the time he was starting his YouTube channel. So this was like late 2018, early 2019 when we were both getting started. We kind of started around the same time. And he's like, I really like some of your videos. And I went and checked some of his content out, and I was enjoying his content as well. He was like the first like really big supporter on my YouTube channel. Eventually, we started doing collabs on both of each other's channels. Eventually, I think when I got in contact with him about collabs, that's when I created my Twitter account. And eventually, Perez invited me to his Facebook group, and that's when I set up my Facebook account as well. And as soon as that started going, I think, like I said, by 2021, like Mike from Did You See That started contacting me, and we started collabs there. And that's when I also discovered Dave from Interpreting the Stars from some of his collabs with Perez. And I was enjoying some of the content he was putting out. And I'm like, man, I would love to do a collab with this Dave guy. So we got in touch and started doing a bunch of collabs. And it all just kind of, grew from there. Like I started to meet other YouTubers. You were one of them. Rashad G Reviews, Blacktastic Media. So many other remarkable people that I wouldn't have known so well without people like Perez and Dave and Mike for helping get the ball rolling and starting to help me, I guess, come out of my shell and try to help grow the like my YouTube space with collabing with more people and doing these live stream discussions. And another great person I started to meet was Ryan Cam, who we started a podcast over on his channel earlier in the year called Life in the Movies, and that's been a great experience as well. And he's actually returning the favor this Tuesday, as we're at the time of recording this video live, Tuesday the 21st, I'm starting a podcast, a monthly podcast where me and Ryan are discussing the DreamWorks animation films. I'm excited to get that ball rolling and see where that goes in the further growth of my channel. So some really exciting things because of, this growing confidence that I've had since I've started on the channel. And I think, what was your original comment? Like, what were some of your favorite videos? Like, some of your best moments?
What's your best experience?
Yeah, those were some of my best experience. Especially my favorite videos that I've probably made have been some of the collabs. Like I loved working with you. Like the Howard the Duck one, I would say was my favorite collab. I think the only thing that would have made it better is if we did it live. Like if we talked about the movie live for like 2 hours, that would have been.
We still have that option.
Yeah, that's a good option. Like, we can always go back and do that. But I still love the original video, and I've loved working with other YouTubers. Like, I loved working with Mike on the Harry Potter films, and I loved working with Dave on the Pink Panther films. The live collabs have always been fun. I don't think there's ever been a bad collab I've done. And I think as far as reviews go, I love doing the review of Rhinestone because there were people who had never heard of that movie before. That's like an obscure movie that Sylvester Stallone was in 1984 where he's singing country music. It's like the most ridiculous movie out there. But then I got people like Mike from Did You See That who's like, man, this movie looks so bad it's ridiculous. I want to check this movie out. And so there were people who
same way I am. I am the same way.
Yeah, the problem is that movie's hard to find. Like, I had to buy, like, an out-of-print DVD from eBay. And that's, like, the only problem is, like, the movie's so hard to find. But if you can find the movie, it is awesome in all the worst ways. It's so bad that it is hilarious. And I think on a personal note, I think I didn't enjoy filming my personal story video that I did earlier in 2022 because I was so nervous, sharing some of my personal stories, about finding out I had Asperger's and then having some of the suicidal thoughts I've had throughout my life as well. And I was just overwhelmed by some of the positive support from all the fellow YouTubers that are like, hey, you're an awesome YouTuber. Thank you for sharing your story and being honest about some of the struggles you face and how you've overcame them. And I greatly appreciated all that. And some of those kind words when I dropped that video helped inspire me to push further in some of the creative side of what I do in the YouTube space. And I think some of the other videos I love doing, I started branching out and doing like some of these like sizzle reel type videos where I highlight a career of somebody. I started the director spotlights. I've already done
I saw your
videos
Johnny
like,
Depp one.
Yeah, and I was about to get there. Like I did like one on like the Wachowskis and one on Sam Raimi, and I think I did one on Tony Scott. But I'm like, I wonder how this would work with actors, and that I like you said, I just the Johnny Depp video dropped earlier today as a recording, and that is one of the best videos I think I've ever made because I didn't explain it, I don't think, too well in my intro, but Johnny Depp's like one of my favorite actors. He was like the first actor I think I ever paid attention to as a kid, especially when watching like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm like, I'm seeing this guy pop up, Johnny Depp, and all the stuff I've seen him in, he's pretty awesome. And so that's what got me fascinated into his career and some of the roles he's done. And I think when I was decided to go into the whole actor thing, especially being I was so happy that he won that trial recently. So I'm like, okay, if I do an actor spotlight video, I gotta do it on Johnny Depp. So even though it took a bit longer to make than what I would normally do on the director spotlight videos, I loved making it. I loved finding all the clips and discovering some movies I never even heard of that I'm now excited to see now that I created the video and found out about some of these movies, and reliving some of the memories I have with some of the the movies that I grew up with. Like, I mean, you can't go wrong with Captain Jack Sparrow. That's like his best character as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, really, he is. That is like one of his greatest. Like, did you see the trial, by the way?
I didn't actually watch it because I was just kind of burned out by the whole toxicity of the whole thing. But
it's crazy.
I like in my head I'm like, Johnny, you've got this, you got this. And then when the verdict was revealed, and he won, I'm like, yes, I want to see him in more movies now. Ditch that crazy lady and let's get on with
I'm thinking about, as for my next guest, interviewing one of the, not lawyers from the trial, because that'd be impossible to get, but like someone that was covering the trial, like a YouTuber that was covering the trial. I'm thinking about reaching out to them and see if they would want to be interested in being on my channel
that would be interesting.
Because I'm fascinated by the trial, and I'm I really want to.
I think now that it's over, it'll be fascinating to rewatch it. But I was just like, I'll just wait till the verdict's done before I share my real thoughts on the whole thing, because it was getting kind of ridiculous after a while. People kind of like poking fun of like some of the memes of that, like some of Amber Heard's faces, like she looked like she was like pooping on the stand or whatever. It's like, I'm like, oh, come on now.
Which, it's crazy. You know what also is also amazing?
Yeah, what's that?
PlayStation Plus Premium. So I went on the PlayStation Plus. I know this is shameful sponsorship now, but I want to say now is my time for a non-sponsorship ad from me. So this week I went on and had PlayStation Plus Premium. Okay, so I went on there. Okay, went PlayStation Plus. I have paid for the $60 premium PlayStation Plus service, and so I was like, you know what? I'm not paying for the new tier that come out, and so they dropped PlayStation Plus Premium, PlayStation Plus Extra, PlayStation Plus Essential. I have Essential. So I was like, you know what? I was like paying for extra. But then when I saw what they had to offer, I'm like, oh my God. I mean, seriously, it is literally, you're getting your money's worth for PlayStation Plus. Okay. If you pay for PlayStation Plus Extra Essential, you're getting a free game and maybe some discounts, which is cool. If you want, if you really want to up your gaming experience, PlayStation Plus Extra, go right there. You get extra games like Ghost of Tsushima, Red Dead Redemption 2. Okay, if you've never played Red Dead Redemption 1, Red Dead Redemption 2. Okay, you literally are getting all this great content at the hands of your fingertips. And guess what? It's free. Free, absolutely free with PlayStation Plus Extra. You get hundreds of great games, hundreds. Okay, and you get access to all these cool stuff. And then if you want to get that up sponsorship, you want to go up for the premium stuff, you go for PlayStation Plus Premium. Because guess what? Once you get PlayStation Plus Premium, you get access to classic catalog games. I was literally playing Jak and Daxter 3 the other day. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't played that game since I was a kid, because I had to get a PlayStation 2. You'd have to go buy, and also, there's also so many cool games like Resident Evil 1, the director's cut for the PlayStation 1 on PlayStation Plus Premium. I literally paid for that PlayStation Plus Premium, and I've been playing Resident Evil 1. When I get off this thing, I'm going to go play it again because it's so great. Resident Evil 1, okay? You'd have to get a PS1 And literally, and here's the thing about a PS1. If you would have got a PS1, you'd have to find the game. Good luck finding the game on eBay because it's a costly game. And then on top of it, it's still going to look shit quality. But then they made an HD. They didn't remaster, but they made it in HD. So now you get all this access to this catalog of games just at the hands of your fingertip with PlayStation Plus Premium. And on top of that, if you go, they have classic games of catalog. So if you want to play Pirates of, like we were just talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, we get Pirates of the Caribbean. They have two Pirates of the Caribbean games. At World's End, the movie tie-in game, and they have Lego Pirates of the Caribbean thing. They have your PS3 for the PS3 catalog, cloud streaming games. Okay, you don't even have to download games. Imagine you had to download games before. You don't with cloud streaming. You could easily just go on there, click, you're in the game, and it saves everything to your cloud, so you don't have to worry about your sister deleting your progress after you're done, so she could play Minecraft. You can literally cloud stream it. That's so great. Now, I will say, if you have nowhere, if you have a bad internet connection, I wouldn't recommend the cloud streaming. I'd recommend downloading. But, you don't live in Arizona, so you don't have to worry about that. But with PlayStation Plus Premium, you get access to, you get game trials. So if you want to try a game out and you don't want to play for it, they have a list of catalog games like Monster Hunter. You could play Monster Hunter, and guess what? You don't have to worry about it because at the end of the day, you're like, wow, I don't have to worry about it. So if you try, and then like, no harm, no foul, done. With cloud streaming, you could stream games. You don't have to download them. But if you want to really just if you don't want to worry about Wi-Fi connections, you just download them. Like Resident Evil 1, you could download the game and play it 20 minutes later. Or if you want to play, I've been playing a game that's like a Godzilla ripoff called War of the Monsters, which is it's a game where you go around destroying buildings and stuff, and you can fight other monsters. If you have a friend over and you have a second PlayStation 4 controller, you and him could go order some pizza from Domino's and get a can of soda pop, and you and him would go like this. Come on, man, come on. It's so great with PlayStation Plus Premium. I'm telling you, I've been playing this for a week now. I've never played Ghost of Tsushima or God of War 2018. I downloaded it. These are great 2 games. These might be my favorite games of all time. I don't know. These are just so damn good games with PlayStation Plus Premium. I'm telling you, if you try PlayStation Plus Premium, you're getting your money's worth your buck, okay? You can get right now 1 month subscription. Choose your plan. You can get 1 month for $17.99, if you want to get for the premium, or you can get 3 months for $49.99. Or if you want to go, if you don't want the miles, if you don't want to take the miles, you want to go fully, guess what? You can get for 12 months $119.99, $120 for like all this content. It's a steal, really. It is. It's a steal. I'm telling you. Go right now and do it. I'm telling you, it's worth your buck. If you're a hardcore gamer, you're getting your experience worth. Thank you all so much. Now back to the interview. Sorry.
All right. That's fine. You were getting into that.
Sorry. I did a non-sponsorship. So it's like, but anyway. So I want to talk to you. Now we talked to you about your best experience. Let's talk to you about your worst experience.
I haven't had that many really bad experiences. I think there's been a couple times where I think maybe I've made videos where I don't think they've turned out the best. Where I originally would say something and I would say something and then after I film it, I'm like, oh man, I wish I had said this, and I would try to do that. I'm like, that would get annoying. I think there was sometimes I'll try doing videos. I occasionally do videos with my sister, and sometimes she's not as what's the way of saying this? I think sometimes I'll try to start a conversation with her, and it can get not really in the best direction that I really want it on some of these videos, and so that kind of can get a little bit frustrating as well. But I've had her recently in the vlog in the movies videos where she reacts to movies for the first time, and I think she flows a lot better in those type of videos, and so that's why I keep bringing her on my channel occasionally.
Hey, does your sister? I mean, I'm not trying to. I hope I'm not imposing by asking this, but does she have Asperger's as well?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah. She's just not as what's the way of saying this? I mean, she she can communicate with others, pretty well. I think it's kind of weird describing this, but she's.
She's just antisocial kind of thing.
Yeah, she's more antisocial. I think is the way of saying
There's
it.
a lot of people that are like
Like
that.
she's
I
on the
know
spectrum. Like sometimes like she's can get a little uncomfortable on the camera, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to put this on YouTube or not. That's the best way of saying it.
You ever have any funny moments you shot with her where you're just like, oh, I wish you ask me like, I don't put that on there. Like, man, that'd be so funny. I guarantee people would laugh so hard.
Oh man, there's some occasional bloopers that I keep on my channel to where I'm like, okay, I gotta keep this, like where I'll start talking and I just burp for some reason. I'm like, I gotta keep that on there. There was another time I did a video where I talked about Lin-Manuel Miranda, and like for some reason like I don't drink alcohol or anything, but the way I said Lin-Manuel Miranda, it's like I just woke up from a hangover or something. It was really weird how I talked. I was going like for some reason I was talking like, oh yeah, I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. I'm like, where did that come from? How did my speech slur like this? I'm like, what? But I think normally the comments I get have been pretty respectful. Occasionally, I'll get some weird comments. Like I got a comment one time that was so weird. And it was a movie called The Hunger. It was Tony Scott's first movie, and it had David Bowie in it. It was like he did this vampire type movie before he made Top Gun. I don't know if you've seen it, but
which one is it called? What's it called?
It's called The Hunger. It came out in 1983. Yeah, it's a lot of people say it's like a cult classic, a hidden gem, but like if you go back to my review of the movie, I trashed it. I didn't care for the movie that much. I got respect like the filmmaking and some of the performances, but I just couldn't get into the story. I was so confused on like the general direction of the film. Like I didn't know if the film was trying to be like a blockbuster or an art house film, and like the tones just felt like they clashed with one another, and I'm like, it's not for me. But somebody was really upset that I didn't like the movie, and I think one of the actresses was like,
because opinions don't exist.
One of the actresses apparently was in a lot of like French New Wave movies and stuff, and that's like an area of movies like I'm not even that well versed in, if I gotta be honest. It's like, how dare you disrespect this actress? I'm like, I have nothing against the actress. I said she was really good. I don't know what you're talking about, but this guy would not have it.
Me and Esley were reviewing Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation, and we've said Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger are great actors, but in this movie they were shit. And this was their first movie. They were shit, okay, both of them. And they said if they had not done like A Time to Kill and Jerry Maguire next, you would think they're terrible actors and actresses.
Yeah.
Because that's how bad they were in this movie. And I'm like, and I'm sure no one's reached out and said nothing negative to me about that, because I'm like, they're probably like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Because like, really, I mean, like everyone has their bad movie. I mean, like you think like Daniel Day-Lewis probably has done a bad movie. Joaquin Phoenix has done terrible movies.
Yeah. And I talk about I love Johnny Depp, but even he's had misfires. I mean, like I don't care for his take. I love Willy Wonka. Like, don't get me started on that. I actually can defend his performance as Willy Wonka. It's definitely no Gene Wilder, but I get that he was doing something different, and I still enjoy his performance. I don't care for his Mad Hatter in the Alice in Wonderland.
I don't like that movie. I just don't like it. I don't like that
Alice in Wonderland or Willy
Wonka? I don't like either one. Yeah, like I just think like. And I was excited for the movie, but then it didn't look like Alice in Wonderland. You would think it's going to be gothic with black and white stripes, and then no, it's not. It looks it looks weird, and it's just like, it's not. This isn't Tim Burton. This looks more like Sam Burton.
Yeah, I didn't care for either of the Alice movies, and to me it just seemed like Johnny Depp was like, I get he commits to all his performances, but I'm like, I just wasn't feeling the Mad Hatter this time. It just felt like a Johnny Depp caricature in a great performance.
I liked him in Dark Shadow more than I liked him at the Mad Hatter.
I don't care for Dark Shadows, but Johnny Depp's great in it. He's fantastic in that movie, and he was passionate about that role, so I gotta give him credit for that. But yeah,
my sister.
Those are like Dark Shadows and Alice in Wonderland and Planet of the Apes are like the only Tim Burton films that I don't particularly care for.
Wait, say those three again? Dark Shadows,
Planet of the Apes, his Planet of the Apes, and Alice in Wonderland are like my bottom three.
I would say Alice in Wonderland. I would agree with. I don't know Dark Shadows. I just kind of I've seen it in theaters. That's I guess I saw it. It was. My sister went to see it, so it was me, my original father, and me went and saw it. And it was a guy who was really nice because he was saving. He had those 3 seats. It was 2 seats open. It was 1 seat, and it was back when you didn't have to reserve seats.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Y'all want to sit here? I can move." And he goes, sits down there, and lets us sit up there. And we got great seating and watch this. It was a packed theater because we had. And we went and sat down and watched the movie, and we were like, "Yeah, it's so great." But it happened to come out the weekend after It happened the weekend after Avengers, and a week, and like Battleship came out the next weekend, and then a week later what was that movie? It came out in 2012. It was a couple, 3 movies. Men in Black.
Oh yeah.
3 came out the week later. Yeah, so like it had a bad start because and then because it came out because that movie was Avengers was still popping. That movie was packed, but I guess because you don't go by every state box office. You go by what box office you go by California and New York, I believe.
Those are the two biggest markets in the U.S. But I feel like
you go by those.
And a lot of studios, even if a film underperforms in the States, if a movie performs better internationally, overseas, and they look at the overseas and the worldwide gross, they're like, okay. We can still make a sequel.
That's why there's 50 fucking Fast and Furious movies.
Yep.
Because they did not do well. The last one, Fast 8, did not do well domestically, and Hobbs and Shaw did okay here. But Fast 8 did not make its money back. But it made $1 billion overseas, and so I'm like, yeah, they'd be stupid not to greenlight that.
Yeah, it makes sense because movies are released everywhere, and they might not be liked in one country, but if they're beloved in another, if they like it, we can still make it because they can save the box office for that movie.
Did you hear how Arnold made Terminator's box office? Not Dark Fate, but Terminator Genesis. He literally the movie hadn't opened yet, and it came out in July of 2015. It didn't do well in the United States or overseas, but guess where it did well in China.
Oh, wow.
So he went over to China and just gave him hugs. He was like, "Hi, how you doing? Hi, how you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, you want to kiss? Come here." And he kisses, and then it does it makes $450 million then.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
450 million. I'm like, Arnold Schwarzenegger has firepower over there.
Yeah.
I'm like, because he just goes
Come
over
see
there.
my movie.
It's the Governator! Oh my god! Hi, how you doing? Hi. He actually, I heard he has a bodyguard that goes with him, and so they said the bodyguard pinches him. Gabriel Iglesias said this. Fluffy, he said this. He says the comedian Fluffy says he has a guy who pinches him on the thing, and then he'll go when I say pinch him on the thing, I mean his shoulder, not his wiener.
Yeah.
He's not pinching that'd be weird if he did hi, hi, how you doing? You're not my maid. Don't touch me. You're not my maid. But no, he's shaking hands with people. He says shaking hands. He goes, "Hi, how you doing? Huh? And then a guy pinches him on the shoulder, and he goes, "Hi, how you doing?" I said, "Excuse me. Hi, how you doing? Hi. Pinches him again. "Excuse me. Hi, how you doing? Hi. And he goes, "Hey," and then he tells the guy, "Hey, pinch him on the shoulder. I want to meet him." And the guy's laughing, and then he pinches him, and he goes, "Hi, how you doing?" And then he goes and meets him, and he says, "I just want to say I love you." He goes, "Oh, thank you." And he's shaking hands. He goes up to him and says, "Hi, how you? I know you." And he goes, "You did that joke about me." And he's like, "Huh?" And then he starts talking to him for a minute, and then the bodyguard pinches. He goes, "Excuse me. Hi, how you doing?" He's like, "No!" He's about to get a selfie with him. He goes, and then he turned the machine on, and he had to move away.
Oh, that's great.
I was like, you imagine that you have somebody that pinches you to keep you moving, pinch.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
All right, let me ask you this. All right, what is your worst movie experience at the movies?
Oh, at the movies. I recently shared this story on Mike's channel for the Cinema Horror Stories collab.
We don't have to.
This is a. But I still want to share this story in case
Okay.
you haven't seen this or haven't seen
I
the
haven't.
video.
I,
But this is a. This is when I saw Pacific Rim in 2013. Now I love Pacific Rim. That's an awesome movie, but that theater experience was like the worst experience I've ever had at a movie theater. Like my family saw it. We saw it at the Dollar Theater that we used to have at the time.
you had a
And
dollar theater. I'm so jealous.
well, the one we went to where we saw Pacific Rim's closed now, but another one reopened. So we still have a dollar theater. It's just not the dollar theater that I grew up with. But it's still an interesting story. I still want to share. So we saw this movie
Okay.
Pacific Rim, and it was like late summer when it came to our dollar theater. Like I like to say late August, early September when we saw the film. And we went to the movie like I'd say 5 minutes before the showtime, and again this is before reserved seating and everything. And so when we came in, it was a packed house. There was no empty seats in sight except the front row. And so normally I don't sit in the front row, but I wanted to see this movie. We've already paid for it, and so we're like, okay, we'll sit on the front row. We all regretted that decision. Me, my mom, my sister, my dad, all that. We did not enjoy sitting in the front row because it was pretty much 2 hours of us looking up like this to see robots and monsters punching each other. And I mean, I still enjoyed the movie, but it makes your neck hurt when you're watching that for 2 hours, and you just feel so uncomfortable watching the movie. And on top of that, it was a very hot summer day. The AC broke, and so we were all scorching hot, like sweating all down our bodies because it was just so hot. And even before the movie started, like during the previews, the projector broke, and so we were just sitting there, burning hot, and my whole family was in an uncomfortable position anyway. It was just a nightmare experience. Even when they fixed the projector and we saw the movie, I'm like, never again will I sit in the front row. It was torture.
I think that's only happened to me like 4 times in my life.
Yeah. Next time, thankfully that hasn't happened since, but I guess if there was a time where like it was so packed where the only seats were the very front, I'm like, screw that. I'll wait up to the next showing.
I had that experience with Deadpool.
Oh,
Like Deadpool, I went like the theater. They had was dead seats back there, and so I sat literally in the handicap section.
oh,
And my uncle sat. My uncle sat. My uncle always goes to the movies with me because me and him love movies, and he
yeah,
sat in the dead seats, and we call them the dead seats. That section down there is the dead seats
yeah.
because you'll be dead by the time this movie's over. That's why we call it the dead seats. And so we and so there's a handicap section. Then of course there's the other seats. I like the handicap section because you can see it perfectly clear, and it's like that. So I've had experiences like that, like with Transformers 2. Transformers: The Last Night, we got dead seats, and I hate sitting there more than anything. Is sitting in the dead seats. I hate that more than anything. The dead seats are a pain in the ass. I hate them. And so, like, I'd rather sit on the floor than sit in the dead seats. And so we had, yeah, I think we had that with Wrath of the Titans. Wrath of the Titans. I think Transformers 2, Transformers 4, 5. And, of course, I think, what movie was it? Ghost Rider 2. And I want to say, what was another movie? I saw another movie that I believe was, like, you could not get a seat to save your life. I'm trying to think what movie it was. I know Deadpool was another one. And there's one more movie I know that I was like, you could not find anywhere to sit in that movie. You could not find a single. I want to say The Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That was a big hit.
I want to say Dark Knight, maybe Dark Knight. Yeah, I know Dark Knight was packed. They had to let you tell you couldn't even sit with like if you had a bag you had to hold it in your purse. I sat by this girl that was so cute, and I'm sure if I would have talked to her, like she was my age. I was a kid, by the way, a little kid when that came out,
Mm.
and so I was like, she's so cute, but I was so focused on Batman. I'm like, I can't talk to her. Batman's my dream right here. I've been wanting to watch this movie because I was so obsessed with that movie. So I was like, I just remember that experience though. And like it was sitting there, and she just looks over. You could tell she was bothered. She had to sit next to me. She was like, ugh. Like, Yeah. Oh, also, yeah, I do have a movie theater experience. So this is kind of like there. My uncle is so bad about keeping his cell phone. We went and saw Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part Two. His cell phone went off in the theater, and he took the phone call.
Oh no.
He's that
Oh
his cell
no.
phone always goes off, but his cell phone goes off, and he took the phone call. He's like, hey, I'll because he's like he works at a truck driving place. He says, yeah, I'll go out of town tonight. I'm right here watching Harry Potter with my nephew, and I'm like, me and my cousin, his daughter, my cousin, we're just me and her like, oh, like we're
Oh
watching
man, I'd
Harry.
be so embarrassed.
Yeah, the only time, and then like, he does that, and then one time we went and saw Get Smart, you know, with Steve
Oh,
Carell.
that's an awesome movie.
Yeah, we went and saw that in theaters because he loved that show as a kid, or you know, and so he grew up with that show, and so he's like, we went and saw the movie, and we're in the movie, and my mother had a birthday party. That's mainly why we went to the movies because he took us, and so they were drinking at the birthday party, and we went, me and my uncle and my two cousins, by the way, my sister and my cousin, they went and they're little kids, so obviously they don't want to watch a movie called Get Smart. And my brother, him and his kid, who's a toddler, and his girlfriend at the time, go see Wally, and their projector burns up,
Oh.
and they give out free movie passes. They're halfway through the movie, and the projector burns up, and they give out free movie passes. And we're watching Get Smart, and the kids are just running up and down the aisles, running up and down, to where someone finally says, "You need to take them outside." And then my uncle gets up, takes them outside, and I'm like embarrassed, but I
Oh
finished watching
yeah.
the movie.
Yeah, I would be embarrassed too, especially if I was related to those kids. Oh boy. Uh,
Yeah,
Speaking of when you talked about your uncle calling on his phone, that reminded me of kind of a similar experience, but not really. But my dad did something in a movie theater that I thought was utterly embarrassing. It was when we saw Wonder Woman 84, and this was in Christmas of 2020. We saw it in the theater screen, and so it was at the beginning of the movie when they were like introducing that wishing stone rock type thing, and you got Diana looking at it, and they were talking about like the rock and stuff like that. And I heard my dad holler out loud, "I bet that's how Steve comes back." And I'm like, oh, I hate it when people like if it was not if it wasn't my dad, I would have said something. I'm like, oh, shut up. But I'm like, I get annoyed when people like say random stuff like that.
oh yeah, people, yeah, like I mean it's crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean there are some exceptions. Like when we saw Avengers Endgame, like you get to the third act of the movie, like when Captain America's wielding Mjolnir, and you get like all the Avengers that were dusted come back and stuff like that. People are cheering and clapping and crying, and everyone's like immersed in the experience. That's like an exception. Like in my screening when we saw Avengers Endgame, literally when Captain America said, the Avengers Assemble line, somebody was like, "Yes! I've waited for Captain America to say that line in full for 10 years!" So that was like, yeah, like that's
Yeah,
an exception.
when we watched Batman versus Superman in theaters, me, my stepdad, and my uncle, and my stepbrother, and I think my cousin, you know, the one my uncle that takes the phone calls there, yeah, he went with us to see the movie, and we watched the movie, and it was this isn't nothing about him, but they played the Cars 3 trailer in front of that Batman versus Superman. And you see
Oh,
the one where Lightning McQueen gets in a crash and it
oh
says
yeah, like it's a very dark
sort of
trailer. But
dramatic
it's really
trailer.
like I remember people coming, "Oh, are they killing off Lightning McQueen?"
Like,
in
yeah,
this
this is
movie?"
what happened though. That's what happened. Like someone
Yeah,
yelled in the
I remember
theater,
that.
"Did he die?" And the whole theater was laughing. That was the only humorous part of that whole screening of Batman versus Superman. Was a guy that has nothing to do with the movie screen. Did he die? Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And someone yelled in the theater, "Batman and Superman should kiss." And then the theater started laughing. He's like, no, no, no. It was actually no. It wasn't like that. No, he didn't say that. He says, no, no. It was. I think it was actually like, what was it? It wasn't like that. I think it was either that or one of my, I might have got that from someone else with that said that Bandersnatch kiss. But like someone yelled in the theater, I think, "Oh, well, just fuck already, are we?" Because the sexual tension. I was laughing so hard though, like the sexual tension. I'm like, because it's the scene where like their Batman rises up. The scene where he rises up and they're looking at each other, and someone yells, "Whoa, just fuck already, will you?" Sexual tension is ecstatic. I'm like, it might have been the same guy in the theater. I was laughing so hard. Or he might have said the Batman said we should kiss, or like one of those two. And I was laughing so hard at one of them, and I was laughing hysterically, going, "That was hilarious." I will tell you this much: there is a scene in Star Wars. I know this is a little off topic, but there's a scene in Return and Revenge of the Sith, which is one of my favorite Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith. I think out of the prequels, that is my favorite one. I think that's one of the best ones because it gives you everything you've asked for. If you've been waiting for that movie. And so I watched. There's a scene after he kills Mace Windu. The Emperor kills Mace Windu, and Anakin gets on his knees, and he's like, "What have I done?" And he's just like bowing his head back and forth, and the Emperor's standing going, "Oh, the Force is strong with you," and he's bowing his head. I'm like, did they have to edit it like that? Because it looks like he's giving the Emperor a blowjob right now, and the Emperor's really liking it because he's just doing it the whole time. And the Emperor's like, "Oh, yeah, the Force is strong with you." And he's like, "Oh." I'm just like, why was that edit like that? Or like, why was it shot like that? Couldn't they? George's like, cut, Hayden, yeah, don't rush your head back there because it looks like you're giving him a BJ, and we're trying not to make it look like this. You're trying to give like the dark side in you, not a penis, and so he said people are gonna misinterpret that. And now it is like on YouTube. If you just Google Emperor BJ, and this is him doing this, going, I'm like, why did he have to do it that way? I did see one edit that made me laugh where, like, afterward he goes, "Oh, the Force is strong," and then he shoots lightning, and his lightsaber pulls. His lightsaber comes out, and he shoots lightning. I was like, well, why would you edit? Like, that they should look at that as mistakes. Like, I guarantee back then probably they're like, moving on, no one's gonna notice, and then they're like, we all notice. Like, I mean, that's the only critique I have of that movie. Because I'm like, are you fucking serious, man? No. Like, that's a great moment, and then it just looks like he's giving him a BJ.
Yeah, some people just have weird thoughts sometimes. That's all I have to say on that.
I've always, and I'm not gonna lie, I will defend that movie to the end, but I can't defend that one scene. I'm like, it looks like he's giving him a BJ. I mean, like I said, I never thought about it. I thought that maybe it's just me that thinks that. And then I heard someone else critique that in a review saying, why did they have to have a motion of Anakin looking like going his head back and forth? It's like George Lucas knew what was happening, and he's putting homoerotic tones in this movie on purpose.
No, I think it was unintentional, and some people like misinterpreting it.
Did you see that Ewan McGregor says he gets sent homoerotic things?
Oh, I saw that. I was like, yeah. Some people, I was like.
He says, I don't know how they find my address.
I don't even. That's just, if I was him, I'd be like, okay.
I love when he says, I get this in the mail. I don't know how it gets to me. It comes in the mail, and I think it's just an autograph or something I have to sign and send back. And instead, it's just it's like something like, what the fuck, he says.
I think some people misinterpret that you were my brother, Anakin. I loved you.
Yeah.
And people thought that was literal.
I just got into Star Wars theory. He's a Star Wars fan. He's a huge fan. He's a guy who had I believe he had cancer, and then like he started posting like Star Wars stuff and everything. And he has a huge channel. He has the greatest opening logos. Like all of his logos are professionally done, look Star Warsy.
Oh, wow.
His back. He watches his reactions. He even does like Star Wars theories, like what if Star Wars things, where he does all the animation for it. Where it's like, what if Order 66 failed, and stuff like that.
Wow.
It's really great. I really like it. I've been following him, and he says every time in his chats. He gets people trying to hook, ever since Book of Boba Fett, people are now trying to ship Luke and Ahsoka.
No.
I'm like, that's gross.
That is gross.
He says, and then he keeps saying, people, literally, there's a funny, like a completion of people trying to do that. And they're like, do you know, he says, Ahsoka, he says, like they said something, like the most fucked up thing I heard someone say was, Do you know that like her race has like long? He says they have longer things. They're really tight. So that way, when Luke grabs Ahsoka by her hair, he says when he raw dogs her, he says it'll make her squeal. And I'm just like, what? I was like, he would never do that. No. Like, that's like his. That's like that'd be like someone like Luke Skywalker is like in his 30s. Ahsoka is like 100.
Yeah, that's like that'll be like the worst.
Me banging my grandmother's best friend.
Ew, I can't even picture that.
I mean, that's how gross it is.
That's like the dumbest fan fiction romance pairing I've seen since Raylo.
Well, Ray and Kylo kind of makes sense. You know, that kind of makes sense. I could see that making sense.
No, I didn't. They were just all like all at odds with each other.
I thought you were gonna say Finn and Poe. I thought you were gonna say Finn and Poe.
No, I have no comments on that. I'll just say that. People can interpret what they want on that.
Is that your Finn? Is that your lightsaber?
I would have been more Ray and Finn. Like I bought their chemistry together. Like if they had a thing, I would have bought that.
Like I thought when he was falling in the sand, he was like, "Hey, I love you." Like I thought he was gonna say, "I love you," but then like that's what I thought he was gonna say. But then like, what'd you say? Nothing. I was like, Turns out that J.J. Abrams said that's not what he was gonna say. He was gonna say he was force sensitive.
He was force sensitive. Yeah.
I'm like, that makes no freaking sense. The other one, everyone else thought he was gonna say, "I love you." I mean, because why would you? Yeah, that makes no sense. Why would you shout that? If you're gonna die, you think you're gonna die. Why would you shout, "Hey Ray, I'm force sensitive," instead of "Ray, I love you"? Like that makes more sense, and that follows the Star Wars life. If you think you're gonna die, the last words to live by is "I love you." Like Han Solo said to Leia. Leia said that to Han, but I said that to Han Solo. It makes more sense.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
And also, I want to ask you, words. What is the best advice you have for newcomers?
Best advice to newcomers. So if you're new to YouTube and are watching this interview, I would say, I guess the first thing I'd say off the top of my head is, your first video, even if it's not good, don't give up. Like, even if your first video sucks and you're not impressed by, how you present your content and stuff like that, just keep pushing on. Like, don't give up. Like, keep improving your craft. Try, look toward your influences, but don't copy them. Like, don't copy catchphrases or anything like that. Try to do what make your influences stand out, but try to do your own unique spin on it, so that people can pay attention. Like, hey, this guy or girl's pretty cool. I want to see what they got next, and just keep improving. Try to be as sociable as possible. Like, try to find contact with other YouTubers that you have similar taste in, whether music or movies or whatever you're doing as a creator. Try to set up a friendship in a group or whatever, and try to support each other, and try to do I guess as many collabs as possible, because that will definitely grow your channel. Those are some of the best advices I can give. Like, even if your first video is not that good, and your early videos will be like the worst videos you've made because you're inexperienced and you don't know what you're doing just yet, but just keep pushing with what you want to do, grow your audience, meet other YouTubers, try to collab as much as possible, get in touch with other social media avenues like Twitter and Facebook, and pretty soon your channel will keep growing. And that's pretty much all I have to say on that.
Well, that is great. I really love that. That's great words to live by and great advice for newcomers. I really think that right there wraps it up. I mean, that's right there is the perfect way to end it right there. Do you have anything else you want to add before that? Wrap it up.
Nothing much. I guess I'll plug my channel before we're done. Like I said, I normally do movie reviews TV reviews and ranking videos. I haven't had as many videos pop up this week as I was on vacation and I just came back from, but my normal run of videos are coming back starting tomorrow. I'll be doing some movie reviews again. The last big video I did before I went on my vacation, I did a live stream collab with Q Reviews where we talked about Ghostbusters 2, and that was a great
That's
chat.
one of my favorites.
That we had. That was an interesting discussion. We had some other stuff coming to the channel. Let's see, what do I got? My Johnny Depp video just dropped. That dropped earlier today, where you can see like my love for Johnny Depp as an actor, and you look. It's like a complete history of like all the movies that he starred in, and that was, again, one of my favorite videos I've ever made, and I will definitely do more actor spotlight videos in the future. I've started my series where I'm checking out Downton Abbey, the show, for the first time, considering that is not like my wheelhouse of genre, by the way. But I've seen like the first 2 episodes now, and I am hooked. I can't wait.
And we still have to do a Bachelor Party.
Oh yeah, we are on my channel. We are doing Bachelor Party on my Tom Hanks series, Project Hanks. My next video on that is actually dropping this week. I did a collab with Trav Tries, and we're doing Sully together. And there's other collabs that are coming as well. I've got some other stuff coming this week. I'm starting my podcast, like I said, discussing DreamWorks with Ryan Cam. Our first episode's dropping Tuesday night. The first video is mainly going to be us discussing, I guess, the history of DreamWorks and some of our like best memories that we've had with
like Jeffrey Katzenberg going from Disney to DreamWorks.
Yeah, share some like the origins and some of our memories of like some of our best experience watching his movies, and then I guess a general observation of the studio going forward and stuff. And then each month we'll start
how DreamWorks was ripping off other, like it was Shrek and Monsters Inc. and Finding Nemo.
We'll get into that, especially because the first movie we'll be tackling is Ants, and part of the debate is whether who did the better Ant movie, Pixar or DreamWorks. I will say now I'm Pixar on that. I never watched Ants as a kid, and Ants is a fascinating, weird movie in itself, and I enjoy it for what it is. But I think the Pixar movie has definitely aged a lot.
I will say DreamWorks has always been edgier, like with Shrek. Like Disney and them had Shrek, and so Shrek was edgier than Monsters Inc. And I think even they even admitted saying, yeah, Shrek was better than Monsters Inc. But still, Monsters Inc. was pretty good. Yeah. They said Shrek was better, though. They said, yes, Shrek. They openly admitted, yes, Shrek was better. But we win everywhere else. They said, so they can have this win because we'll win the war, they said.
Yeah,
they can have this battle.
Like, I would say Disney overall, I prefer Disney as an animation studio, but I respect what DreamWorks does, especially with, like, their out-of-the-box approach at doing comedy. Like, you can, it's a movie that, families can watch, but they sneak in some crazy jokes in there that only adults can get. And some of their movies, I was like, wow. Like, especially like I watched some of the jokes in Shrek made no sense to me as a kid, and watching it now, I'm like, how did they get away with this? Like they had like a joke in Shrek with like Lord Farquaad kind of like jerking in his bed. He kind of pinches his sensitive area in his bed. I'm like, I did not catch that as a kid. How'd they sneak that?
Well, Disney used to do that. Pixar, like with The Emperor's New Groove, there's a joke where Kronk pinches a tent. Back in the Disney animation, like there's a joke they used to do, like they're in Rescuers, there's a pair of boobies. Like they literally had just took it out. Monsters Inc. I think they did that the first day.
I know there was a scene in The Lion King where Simba plops down, the dust flying, and allegedly says sex.
Like that, you gotta be proud of yourself. Like I just literally put a penis or like this movie. They're never gonna find out, and then like 20 years later they found there's a penis right there, and you're just like.
No, apparently somebody drew one on the VHS cover of The Little Mermaid. I think was the story of that.
there's a penis and someone put a penis in the Little Mermaid.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It
what?
wasn't in the actual movie. Like somebody snuck one in on like the original VHS cover, and like, somebody noticed it, and I think the
That
VHS got recalled, and they had to change the artwork because of that.
And it's just like you could tell now you can't do that because a computer. It's easy just to go back because you had to hand draw all that stuff. So you're like, it's much pain in the ass to go back just to
Yeah.
recall it. Nowadays, it's just like, especially it's gonna suck with Disney Plus and everything. Now, being pretty soon they're gonna have physical media of Disney Pixar movies, and then pretty soon it's just gonna be like, oh well, there's a pair of boobs in there. All right, well, click, click, click. All right, it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes Disney can get a little too overly sensitive. Sometimes and that's like my big annoyance, especially on Disney Plus. Like they'll just stupidly censor stuff for no reason because parents
Like in
complain.
Splash, you see a girl's ass, and then they made her CGI'd her hair longer, so you can't
Yeah.
see her ass cheeks. And I'm like.
Yeah, and it doesn't even
But
look
yeah,
right.
on Daredevil, you see a guy his bare ass, or no, in Luke Cage, you see a girl's side boobs, you see his ass, him like having sex.
It's
with her.
very inconsistent because they added Daredevil and those other Netflix shows which are TVMA. You have to get like unlock like parental guidance so you could parental control so you can watch the shows, and yet they're concerned about some of the stuff in the other movies. Like they're concerned about Lilo hiding in a dryer in Lilo and Stitch, and they replace that with a pizza box, which that don't even make sense. Like how can you hide in a pizza box?
Like really? Come on! I mean,
I'm like, come on now. I know it's not safe to hide in the dryer, but even I as a kid knew, it's not right to hide in the dryer.
or like in ET, Steven Spielberg went back in ET and replaced the shotguns with walkie-talkies.
Oh yeah, I always make fun of that, like, because I have the Blu-ray of it, which Spielberg later regretted that change and disowned that special edition version, and now the original version is the main version to watch, and so I always make fun of that controversy.
South Park made fun of it heavily.
You see the police officer with the guns. I always make fun of every time I watch. I'm like, oh, they got guns.
South Park made fun of that later on. South Park made fun of that episode. I think it was called Free Hats or whatever. And the episode is called Free Hats, where they go see like Indiana. They go see like a re-edition of a movie, and then all this crazy shit. Like it's like they go see like it says coming soon, saving. It says you like the ET with the walkie-talkies. Coming soon is Saving Private Ryan. Only this time, instead of guns, it's walkie-talkie. Walkie-talkie. Hey guys, and instead of Nazi, they're called people with political differences.
Oh yeah, oh man.
And then South Park they even got further than a joke where they're like, "Hey, we're remastering our pilot. You know how we like the pilot? We have a giant spaceship now because we're rich and we have millions of dollars. We're pulling the Spielberg method. George Lucas can remaster Star Wars, and Steven Spielberg can remaster. He says E.T. And then Steven Spielberg now wants to remaster Indiana Jones with dogs. Just like,
oh man, that's ridiculous.
It's crazy. I mean, but it's if like, I have a thing. If it is made and it's released, it should be released. You shouldn't go back on your word because oh well, we didn't think this is great, so let's just go back and change it. No, like Star Wars, I'm pro theatricals. If that's your version, guess what? If you want to say, well, this is the director's cut, then release the director's cut. Don't sit there and try to take away the theatrical cut because you messed up.
Yeah, and I'm fine with the special editions. Those are the versions I grew up with, but you can't make that the only version, especially for the people who grew up with the theatrical cuts, because that alienates your fan base. So at least release it to where make it to where you can choose between which version to watch, whether the theatrical or the special edition.
In the documentary, The People versus George Lucas, they said people were so upset that they were releasing the special editions on DVD and they were getting rid of the old ones, that people were so upset and they're writing letters to so eventually Lucasfilm released a statement saying the DVDs will come with, which I have the DVDs. I have them on Blu-ray and everything, but I also have them on the DVDs because I've searched for it comes with a theatrical cut. But they took the VHS theatrical cuts and put them on a disc. That's all they do. They
Oh
transfer them
yeah,
from.
that's like a huge like disservice to those fans, I would say, because you want
And they call them the negatives. That's what they call them, the negative prints.
yeah, you gotta put them in like the best quality though.
They didn't want people. They wanted to dissuade you from watching. Is what they're trying to do. That's why they said you can have our negative prints. And I'm like,
yeah,
come on.
that's not a good decision there.
Yeah, but I appreciate you coming on, man. I really do.
Yep, I enjoyed talking with you, and thank you for inviting me on.
Thank you for opening up. I mean,
yeah,
really good.
yeah. I've definitely been more confident, especially more so this year than ever. I think especially after
Right.
what I've been through in the past. You know, this has been a good avenue to try to help grow, I guess, in my creative endeavors. And I definitely appreciate the support. Uh, you're just a fun person to hang out with, and I enjoy these chats.
Oh,
So.
I'm great. I mean, you know what? I can't wait. I said, I can't wait for do a bachelor party.
Yeah.
And after party, spoiler alert, after bachelor party, scary movie.
Yeah.
So we're doing those.
I'm excited about that, and I know we had held this off. You had wanted you had asked me to do one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, but it came out around the time there was a bad that recent shooting in Texas, and people were dubbing it like the Texas shooting massacre or whatever. I'm like, yeah,
I agree.
This is not the right time to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I think
that's why I haven't been doing them.
I think in another month or two, I think I'll be ready to try to get that to you. What was it, the third one?
Yeah,
Leatherface Fiction. Yeah, because I've only seen the first one, and
I would not recommend really watching the third. I'd rather them in order because it's like a roller coaster. You get shit good, shit good, shit good.
Oh, yeah, it's not like a franchise I have like any like real gravitation towards. I've only seen the first one. To me,
and they keep retconning each one. One will come out,
okay.
they'll retcon it and say this.
So I guess I can watch any movie at any time and just try to get into the
because they keep retconning it. Like 2 will come out and then because different studios take it and they'll like retcon it, and then they'll go to this movie and then they'll retcon it again. And they're just like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I guess that's not one of like the more consistent franchises compared to like Scream, where even though I didn't like love the new Scream, but it had some entertaining stuff in it, and I guess the last thing I want to say, I'm not even that interested, honestly, in Scream 6, especially with Neve Campbell not coming back.
That pissed me off,
I was like, really? Like, you couldn't agree
you see my statement I released on Twitter? I've released a statement saying, like, I hate
Oh, yeah, I saw that. You're like...
That's like Will Smith without Men in Black, and I was like, this and this.
Smokey and the Bandit without Burt Reynolds, and... I saw that.
That's so stupid. It is.
I know. Like, you gotta at least have her in some capacity. Like, even if it's just a cameo. It's like having a Pirates movie without Johnny Depp. Like, you can't.
And they're trying to do it right now.
I was like, yeah, it's not gonna work. Like he can. Like,
they did Fantastic Beasts without him, and look what happened.
Yeah, that movie underperformed. Which is weird because that I actually liked The Secrets of Dumbledore more than the other two. But Johnny Depp was the better Dumbledore. Like Mads was trying. The new guy,
but I feel
he
like
was trying. He was doing his own spin, but it wasn't the same. And I was like, if they kept Johnny Depp,
I have no emotional attachment to this dude compared.
I would have loved the movie even more. Like I would have gotten into it more if it was Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see.
It happened. But I appreciate you coming on, Jacob. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. We're gonna do some more collaborations soon. Thank you so much for coming on my channel. Thank you for being my first inaugural guest on this episode, and I hope to have you back soon eventually. Thank you so much. His channel, I'm going to try to put a link in the description below. Thank you so much. If you can, just go to his channel, and he's an awesome dude. Thank you so much, Jacob, for being on the 3D movie interviews. Thank you so much, Jacob. Thank you.